All right, guys, we are 2 weeks into the season. I am so happy the way my Yankees are playing. I'm going to be going over a few different teams. Obviously, every single video I make in the MLB season on the MLB will be with the Mets and the Yankees in the video. But I'm obviously going to go over a few other teams. Some teams have put themselves in a hole that I don't even think they can climb out of yet, which is possible in the beginning of the season. It's not possible to put yourself at, even if their team is 20-0, I feel like it's still possible for them not to make the playoffs, even though there are no teams that are pretty much 20-0. But if there was a team at 20-0, I think you could still fall. But if you're at 0-20 or 0-10 or whatever it is, I think you can't climb out of that. So there are teams like that, and there are teams that are doing really well that could fall in the pooper. And I'm going to go over some of those teams. I hope you enjoy the video, and thanks so much for watching. All right, the first team I'm going to go over is the New York Mets. The Mets, I mean, everything kind of is happening the way we figured. They're not really hitting so well, other than Asdrubal Cabrera, Jay Bruce, and Yoenis Cespedes. If I'm missing anyone, I'm sure a decent amount of my friends in my fantasy league or someone will yell at me, and I apologize. But those three guys are really the ones hitting. Jay Bruce, I think, was a great pickup. I think he's getting his jitters off in playing in New York. You got Yoenis Cespedes, who's playing really well. He's obviously just Yoenis Cespedes. He'll be a top 5 MVP candidate, maybe top 6. I don't think he'll be the MVP, but he'll be there. And you got Asdrubal Cabrera, who's been playing very well. Your pitching is your pitching. It's playing really well. It's one of the best rotations in the league. Matt Harvey seems to be pitching well so far and having a bounce-back season. Again, it's only 2 weeks, so nothing is set in stone yet. But I mean, it's a good sign. And Syndergaard, his changeup is insane. DeGrom, I love DeGrom. He's actually probably my favorite pitcher on the Mets because he seems to hit his spots really well. You got Zach Wheeler, who's been pitching decently. So, I mean, you got a really good rotation. Your back end of your bullpen will get better when your closer comes back. And Addison Reed has been playing pretty well, even though he did blow a save last night as the closer. So, everything will be fine. As long as you guys stay healthy, you'll make the playoffs. I'm really not worried about them, which is why I'm not going to talk about them much this week, or really any week unless something ridiculous happens. I want to give a quick shout out to It's Jeff 96. I want to thank you for all your comments and arguing with me. I think it was a fun discussion. But I'm just going to let you know I was right on every point so far. I didn't think Josh Donaldson would get injured, but he is older. He does have a lot on his body. He's played so many games the last few years that, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He had an MVP season a couple of years ago. He's playing in the playoffs the last couple of years. Josh Donaldson, injury. He also got injured in spring training, so it's really not like, I'm not surprised he's on the DL. So Blue Jays being old and injured, done. Josh Donaldson being their best player. Then you got rid of Edwin Encarnacion, so he can't buffer for that. You got Sanchez, who I'm pretty sure is injured also. So that's a big, big deal. And the Blue Jays are 2-10. They were 1-9. Do you know how many teams in Major League Baseball have made the playoffs at 1-9? 0. So when I said they had no chance, I mean, I know I got lucky with the Josh Donaldson injury, but one of them were going to get injured. They have so much on their legs already, and they're old. So, you don't have a perennial number 1 starter, a real number 1 starter. So, I mean, the Blue Jays, I'm going to just throw something wild out there again. They're not making the playoffs. They're done. I hope you guys sell your players because this is a hole at this beginning of the season. I know it's only 2 weeks in, but you cannot do this to yourself. And to be completely honest, at the beginning of the season, you could stop yourself from getting to the playoffs. Period. Like, that can happen. You can't get so high that you automatically make the playoffs at the beginning of the season. But you can get so low that you have no chance. Which, obviously, they still have a chance, but it's going to be a hard hole to dig out of. And they're in the AL East. Probably the hardest division. So, the Blue Jays are not making the playoffs, in my opinion. I think they'll still win about 78 to 80 games. They'll come back, but they won't be able to come back enough to make the playoffs. Next team I want to go over is the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers right now are playing really well. I don't know why or how, because their hitters aren't hitting so well. I mean, Miguel Cabrera finally turned it on the last few days. Thank God, because he's on my fantasy team, and he was doing nothing before that. But you got Justin Verlander, who had a bad game last game, but has pitched well in the 3 games he's pitched. Well, 2 of the 3. And then you got Boyd, who has pitched really pretty darn well in his 3 games. And then you got your third and your fourth in Norris and Fulmer, who have pitched really well. ERAs of 2.19, and yes, I'm looking to make sure I get these right, and 2.25. So your starting pitching is pitching darn well. That's the reason why the Detroit Tigers are winning. Justin Verlander looks like an ace again, just like he did last year. So I don't think it was a fluke. And as long as your hitters start hitting, then the Detroit Tigers have a real good shot of winning this division, even with, I know, Seattle in it, but you got a good lineup. So I'm not sure that they're going to be in so much trouble as long as Miguel Cabrera stays healthy. Again, as long as Miguel Cabrera stays healthy, they can do this with their pitching. Their pitching isn't great, not huge names, but they can make the playoffs, maybe sneak into the second wild card, maybe even win the division because Seattle has been up and down so far this year. So the Detroit Tigers right now, I'm watching them. They've been really good. They've been playing some decent teams also. So that might be why the averages are a little bit lower. But, I mean, the Tigers look good right now. All right, before I go over the Houston Astros, which will be the next team, I just want to let you know that Tyler Collins has been playing really well for the Detroit Tigers offense, hitting around 350. All right, so let's get right into the Houston Astros. You got George Springer, Jose Altuve, Brian McCann. You got Carlos Beltran. They've all been playing well so far. They're 9-4. Their offense has been hitting because their pitching hasn't been great except for Dallas Keuchel. But you know those names on the Houston Astros staff. You got Fears. You got McCruver. You got just really good pitchers. I'm blanking. Here we go. McCullers has been pitching well. I mean, you got some good pitchers on this team. You got Feliz, who has been decent so far out of the relief staff, and you know he could be better. But Dallas Keuchel has been pitching like he was Cy Young 2 years ago, rather than pitching like a year ago. So, and he was Cy Young 2 years ago. So you know these names. You know they'll pitch well. They'll pitch well enough and settle down to where the offense will keep doing what they're doing. Jose Altuve hitting 320, around 407 on base percentage. I mean, he can sustain those numbers, unlike a lot of other players at the beginning of the season that can't sustain those numbers. The reason why I say he can, because he's done it before. He did it last year. So he was almost the MVP last year. I think he was third in the MVP vote, which I would have probably voted him second, behind Mike Trout. So, yeah, Houston Astros are for real. And I know I can't say that for certain they're going to make the playoffs, but if I was a betting man, I would say they're going to win this division and make the playoffs, obviously by winning the division. But they're definitely making the playoffs, in my opinion. They're just too good. They have too many names. Too many power hitters. Great stealing base threat in Jose Altuve. So I really think the Houston Astros are going to be able to just do work, and they're going to challenge the Boston Red Sox, who aren't playing too well right now, but they're playing well enough for that AL championship game. So really think about the Houston Astros and watch them because they're a fun team to watch, and I think they're for real. And the last team I'm going to go over is my New York Yankees. Oh, yeah! 8-game win streak. I know I'm over-exaggerating, but I don't care. Look, to be reasonable about it, Chase Hadley is hitting 395. He's not going to hit 395. He's not going to be able to sustain that. But a couple years ago, I think he was the leader in RBIs. So, I mean, you know he's a good hitter. He just had a terrible season last season. I think he could be a 280 hitter. I think that's being reasonable. I think he could hit around 90, 85 RBIs and like 25 homers, which would be perfect. He could do better than that, too. He's done better than that before. But we'll see what happens. You got Starling Castro, who was hitting around 350. You got Austin Romine, who was taking the place of Gary Sanchez because of his injury. And he's been playing great. Tanaka's been the worst pitcher so far. So I think he's getting settled. I'm not really worried about him. As long as he stays healthy, we'll be fine. Pineda has been a surprise. He has the stuff to be an ace. He just has to be consistent. That's his biggest factor. CeCe's been ridiculous. Huge surprise. Holy crap. Again, don't think that he's going to be able to sustain this, but you never know. Maybe he talked to Andy Pettitte and learned how to pitch rather than just overpower guys. You got Jordan Montgomery, who looks awesome. He's a rookie, though, so I don't have huge potential. Not huge potential. He has huge potential. I'm not really putting a lot on him yet, but again, he's playing well. You got Luis Severino, who's coming back after last year not having a great season, after that first year pitching really well. So we don't know what he's going to do, but he pitched well his second game. He's pitching his third game tonight. Did not pitch well his first game. So we'll see what happens. I really do think the Yankees are putting themselves in a place where they can contend. Like I said at the beginning of the season, I didn't think they would do this well, but they will be able to contend at the end of the season and also be rebuilding. I don't know if you sit Austin Romine if he keeps hitting like this. I think you platoon him. Maybe let him catch 2 to 3 days while Gary Sanchez does 4 to 5. I know you don't want to stunt Gary Sanchez, but Austin Romine's hitting around 330, and he's hitting some really good, just hitting at really good times. Great RBIs last few games. I mean, he's put the game away, I think, a few games ago. So he's a really good hitter, and he will be great to trade at the end of the season if Gary Sanchez plays well. So Greg Bird, I know, is slumping, but he played really well. I think 2 nights ago he hit 3 for 3 with a homer. Aaron Judge, four homers? Yeah, 4 homers, if I'm not mistaken. So we're seeing good things. I don't expect everyone to be hot like they are pretty much now, but we'll see what happens. Like I've said like 4 times in this one segment. And we got Didi coming back soon. He's going to be playing his first rehab game in Single A in about 2 days, I think, or a week. Somewhere in this week, I'm pretty sure. All right, no real shout-outs on fantasy. I just want to say to everyone, don't make Takumi tell you to change your damn lineups. He already did working so hard to deal with me. So don't make him make you like say change your lineups, Chris, or change your lineups, whoever, or to me or whatever. But don't be an idiot. It's only 2 weeks in already. This is what, the 3rd week for fantasy? Don't give up already. Are you kidding me? There's so many weeks to go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks so much for watching. Please comment and subscribe below. Have a good night.